What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Council Sessions. I am Dave Cottingham, and not on the split screen this time, but actually sitting in my office here in Kentucky is Martin Donison, a.k.a. Cyber Ren. How are you, sir?
Good to be here, man. Good to be here to witness all of this in person. How does the show come together?
That's right. That's right. Martin's been hanging with me all weekend here on a little vacation for him. Like, you call it holiday, right?
Holiday vacation, yeah, same thing. Well, a vacation is going to like the tropics for a week. That's a vacation. A holiday is taking a long weekend. That's kind of how
we always call it vacation either way.
Yeah.
We don't say holiday. A holiday in the States is like a mandatory day off.
Like Christmas or something.
Like that's a holiday.
Yeah.
Veterans Day is a holiday, stuff like that. So anyway, he's on holiday here. We did an episode of the Mandalorian podcast as well.
We did.
So you can go check that out. But we went ahead and wanted to get council sessions down while he was here. And on this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about, something that's kind of floating around right now in the news, which is the production of The Mandalorian and Grogu has reportedly wrapped in Los Angeles.
Surprising, too. That seemed fast.
Yeah, they started shooting in June, late June, early July.
Yeah.
So it seems as if that they shot enough for a movie, which is what's planned. The movie is going to be coming out in May of 2026.
Yeah.
So plenty of time to get this thing edited.
And reshoots and whatever else they might need. Yeah.
True. So the topic that we were going to bring up and talk about, among other things regarding The Mandalorian and Grogu, one is, I guess the main one, which maybe we'll get to in the end, but what we're going to tackle is the movie, The Mandalorian and Grogu, which will be out in May, which will be the first film released in theaters, Star Wars film released in theaters since Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, which is December of 2019. So we're talking
7 years.
No, we're talking 6.5 years.
6.5 years.
About 6 years and some change.
Yeah.
So the question really is that movie going to kickstart successfully a series of Star Wars films as the show The Mandalorian did when Disney Plus debuted with it in November of 2019, right? It was 2019.
Yeah.
When The Mandalorian debuted on Disney Plus and seemingly kicked off a series of successful Disney Plus series. It kind of ushered in a whole new series of shows that, most have been successful, I would say.
Yeah.
Maybe some haven't hit us home as well. Most notably, maybe The Acolyte, most recent.
But you're right. It kicked off a new way of watching Star Wars.
That's right.
Because we only had movies up until that point.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So we'll get there. That's kind of the question we'll tackle is it going to be that successful? Now, one topic leading up to that we should point out is that the show was slated to have a season 4.
Yep.
Before this movie was announced.
Yeah.
And we haven't really been told whether or not season 4 is actually going to be replaced by this movie or not.
Yeah, there's been nothing about confirmation or anything.
Will there actually still be a season 4? So one thing that we were talking about earlier that I think we should start off with is without this movie coming out until May of 2026, is this a little bit, is Lucasfilm taking a little bit of a risk, which how much of a gap we're having right now between the last season of The Mandalorian, season 3, and this movie, even though we've gotten, Ahsoka, which has some tie into it.
Same time period, yeah.
Yeah. Skeleton Crew will be out this winter. supposed to be in the same universe and timeline and all that stuff. So,
Right.
is that enough to satisfy? What do you think about the fact that may not get anything Mandalorian and Grogu until this movie?
It's a long time, man. Like that. I have always thought that it's risky to leave so much time in between seasons because you risk losing so many viewers, even people that are fans, because so much time has passed. People are going to forget. And when a show comes back, if they don't properly advertise and market that it's returning, people aren't even going to know. They go, what, that show is back? But so you risk losing people because so much time has passed that they've moved on. But you also, you separate your audience from what you had last time, because who's going to remember what happened last time?
Right.
And not everybody has time to go back and rewatch the last season. Like they almost have to release a special recap episode before the premiere. It to me is the smartest thing. So it is a risk to take when Game of Thrones did it, and The Walking Dead has done it, and House of the Dragon, and like all these shows, they're taking up to 2.5 years between seasons, and that's risky, man. Like what happened to the good old days when a TV show would have its finale in late spring, and then it's coming back in September, October with the new season. Like you're not even waiting a year.
Yeah.
That's what I think it should be still. I don't mind waiting a year, but gosh, this is too long. It really is. So it's risky.
Yeah, I agree. And I probably should have looked, but I mean, when did season 3 end? Was that the beginning of 2023?
Well, I think we talked about this. How many shows have we covered on The Mandalore since season 3 of Mandalorian? We've covered Ahsoka.
Yeah.
We covered
Bad
Acolyte,
Batch.
final season of Bad Batch.
Was Andor after? I can't remember if Andor was. I think Andor was after, wasn't it?
I don't know if it was after the final season. There's at least 3 in there.
Yeah.
Like 3 full series.
Yes.
Since the last season. That's crazy.
It's very crazy. In fact, I'm going to make sure I look it up again.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I think that the problem that comes up when you're having such a big gap, and I think Star Wars is trying to mitigate that by having series that are connected, like like Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to expand the stories, but then keep you interested by having these same characters, crossing over and stuff like that. But that becomes hard because you're not really focused on the title characters. With Book of Boba Fett, people argued like that was more of a Mandalorian show because the best parts were when Mando and Grogu were on it.
Yeah.
And he ends up coming in the end and helping, Boba Fett with the pikes in the last episode. So
yeah,
you can make the argument that was truly a Mando 2.5 season and not necessarily a Boba Fett show. So I think most people want a show to be its own thing and separated. And if you do that and you have these gaps, you definitely do run into some major problems.
Yeah.
With people sticking with the show and remember. Maybe the thought is that they're trying to get people to go back and rewatch it to, rewatch like the last season to kind of keep those viewership numbers up and the subscriptions up.
I don't know. Disney Plus just raised the price again. I don't know if they did down here, but up in Canada, it's now $160 for the membership. It started at $80, got bumped up to $120, and now it's $160. So, hoping people to come back and rewatch it is again a gamble. When a lot of people are going, I'm not paying for that. Yeah. I've already watched everything that's on there. So, the head of Disney, he's dialed back, which I don't totally disagree with. Quality over quantity.
Right.
But you're now asking people to pay more for Disney Plus for less content coming out.
Yes, right.
So there's a lot of gambling happening here. So
there is. So The Mandalorian ended April of 2023. So this would be just over 3 years
Yeah.
until we see these characters again.
Yeah, that's a long time. So going back to your question or the idea you brought up about it hasn't been confirmed that there's no season 4 before the movie comes out. If the movie has finished wrapping now, that's a lot of time. They don't need a year and a half to edit and do all that kind of stuff. That stuff doesn't take that long. So
No.
I'm wondering is there a possibility that they might want to squeeze in like a 6-episode mini season 4 or something like that? Because me personally, I think it would actually be really smart. Is squeeze in a smaller or even another full 8 episodes. Just squeeze in another season to get us all refreshed, all caught up. And when that season ends, 2 or 3 months later, the movie comes out and it's fresh in people's mind. You're still excited. Let's go to the movie. Yeah, because what happened? Like season 4 would end on a cliffhanger. The movie's going to continue it. Like I think that would be really smart because you're still asking a lot of people you're asking a lot of people when they're waiting 3 years.
Yeah, I do think that would help. I think that you definitely need something. I mean, I don't know if you can do a full season. I mean, you would think that, like we said, so April of 2023, and then they immediately did release Ahsoka late last year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you would think that being as successful as it was, I feel like, and they are doing a second season, but why are they waiting?
Yeah.
Because again, we're almost a year from when that ended. They haven't even started shooting. So we're going to be at least 2 years, if not more, till that comes out. Because it's not going to come out next year if they're not shooting till next year.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's not coming out to 2020. So you're talking about another 3 years until we see anything else from Ahsoka. I mean, that's long.
That's long. So the movie, the Mando and Grogu movie, is going to come out before Ahsoka season 2, and all that stuff's supposed to be tied in.
Right. And if if it's about Mando here and Thrawn, there's no way Ahsoka could be in it because she's stuck where she is. You can't have her come back before you have a season 2 to explain how she comes back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so we're not going to see her for at least 3 years.
So I guess the question is, what's the Mando Grogu movie going to be about? Maybe it has nothing to do with Thrawn.
Maybe not. That's true. Maybe not.
Maybe it's season 4 wrapped into 2.5 hours.
That's true. I guess it could be. Yeah.
Because, I mean,
Which is unfortunate.
Ahsoka's in another galaxy. Like, in order for her to be part of this whole thing, she has to come back. So Ahsoka season 2, what's it going to be about? Or is it going to be an entire season about her in this other galaxy, picking up the trail of what Balin's skull was doing?
Right.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Or does she solve all of that in the first 2 episodes and then hops on the space whales and comes back? And,
I guess. I mean, I guess it's possible. Maybe, probably highly unlikely. But if they started shooting, rumors is they're starting shooting in like April of next year.
Okay.
I mean, is it possible they could shoot and release that season late in the year and then?
And that ties into the movie?
Yeah, and that is the one that ties into the movie. I guess that's possible. That's really rushing it, though. So, especially with, Mando again, like right now, you would think that they could get it done for May of next year.
Right.
So,
right.
I don't know. Like you said, I understand Bob Iger's push for quality and not quantity, but you can't risk these, what I would call dead spaces of content, and prolong that too long because, it's just, you lose momentum and like even, I'm not saying he has to worry about us, but like even us as content creators, we don't have anything to really talk about.
No. You're right. Yeah. Like Mandalore's been dry for months right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even Inside the Force, each week I'm like figuring out something to talk about.
What am I talking about? Yeah.
Because we don't have content to really, it's not even like marketing materials, not trailers or teasers or posters or, it's like you're stuck just kind of waiting until something comes out. And so it's tough. So I guess back to the original topic or original question is the plan, I don't know if it's their plan, but Disney's plan, but can this movie, because here's the thing, we got 3 movies that are planned.
Right.
Mandalorian and Grogu. We got the Rey New Jedi Order movie, and we got the James Mangold Dawn of Jedi movie.
Right.
There's rumors again still that Patty Jenkins is possibly still doing Rogue Squadron. Don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's still possibly a Taika Waititi movie that's still out there. Mm-hmm. And then apparently there's a Sean Levy movie getting worked on. The guy that directed the Wolverine movie, the Deadpool movies.
Oh man.
So there's 6 movies, kind of 3 that we know about for sure, 3 that are also rumors.
Right.
Is it possible, or can this Mandalorian Grogu movie be a successful kickstart to Star Wars movies in theaters again?
I had never thought about that until you brought it up tonight before we were talking about it here on the show. That idea never crossed my mind, and as soon as you said it, it kind of makes sense because the movies were kind of drying up.
Yeah.
With Solo and the Rise of Skywalker and all that controversy, Last Jedi, they launched The Mandalorian to huge success, and it kicked off Star Wars in a whole new way that we can watch it. We can now watch a weekly TV series of Star Wars. And it was so successful, and it kicked off all the other shows after it, Andor and Ahsoka and Obi-Wan Kenobi. And, it launches. So if they're looking at that and thinking, okay, Mandalorian and Grogu, even though he wasn't in the title of the show, they had that much success and started such a huge following and, new beginnings for Disney Plus. Can they take the same 2 characters, put them on the big screen, and have the exact same thing happen?
Right.
Kick off with a massive hit movie, and now everybody's excited. What is Star Wars going to do next? Let's rush to the theater because the next thing's going to be just as good as The Mandalorian and Grogu. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Whether they're thinking that or not, I wonder if it's just kind of working out that way.
Right.
Or they are thinking about it. This is what started Disney Plus. They're huge. Let's do it again in the movie theaters.
Yeah. But the question is, do you think it can, or do you think it will?
Yeah, that's a good one because I've only been thinking about it for the last hour since you brought this idea up. I think it's possible.
Yeah.
If you look at everything that they have released, Mandalorian Grogu is by far the most successful and popular. Mm-hmm. And the world over, even non-Star Wars fans came to that show because of Grogu. Non-Star Wars fans are going to find out he's on the big screen, and they're going to see that cute little face up on the big screen.
Yeah.
And it could happen. I think it could happen. If they put something as good together as they did the TV series, I think it could happen.
Yeah.
They could have their next billion-dollar movie on their hands, and everyone's excited.
Yeah. I think it's hard. I definitely think it's hard to reach $1 billion these days.
There hasn't been many movies lately that have done it, but there's been a few.
And I say that because not because of movies aren't that good. It's because I feel like you have to look it up, but I would venture to guess there hasn't been there's only probably been maybe 2 or 3 $1 billion movies since COVID.
Top Gun Maverick.
Yes.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Did Deadpool Wolverine go over $1 billion?
Yeah, it reached it now.
It did? Okay.
And Barbie.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think Oppenheimer got close.
Yeah, I don't think it made it, but
so,
maybe.
But those are the ones that are immediately coming to the top of my head. But
So if you think about it like that, and to me, the main reason of it is because the time it takes from going to the theaters to availability online has shortened.
It has, yeah.
And people, and the fact that prices are higher to go to the theater, people are willing to wait 3 months because that's really all it takes anymore to see it at home and pay $6 to rent it or even spend the $20 then to buy it.
Watch it at home.
I think to be honest, I kind of think it that way. Like there's movies that come out in theater sometimes and I'm like, I do want to see it in a theater, but that one I'm actually willing to wait.
Yeah.
You know, actually, Transformers 1. You said how good that was.
Yep.
To me, that was one that I'm willing to wait, and I feel like that one just came out. I can rent it on Amazon
for a
now.
month, I think, is all. Yeah, like it's already hit.
It's
digital.
already hit digital.
Even though it did well, like
Correct.
It made what did it make 300, 400 million?
Yeah, I mean,
it
and you're seeing ads saying it's the best Transformer movie ever. You know, so it's like,
yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of people love that movie, and it's already. I can watch it at home now already.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing because it used to be, if a movie was hugely successful in the box office, it would take forever to be released on video.
It was close to a year.
Yeah, and then if a movie sucked, they would release it right away because they wanted to reap back as much money as they could. But now it almost seems like a movie's huge in the theaters. Let's release it right away so we can ride the success of it before people forget about it.
That's exactly right. And Maverick did that. I remember Maverick. Yeah. Maverick was in the theaters for a long time because people kept going.
Going back twice. Yeah.
But literally as soon as it had like a 10 or 15% drop, boom, it went to digital, and you could buy it. And you can rent. You can only buy it. I think you can only buy it. You couldn't rent it necessarily because they wanted you to still pay like $25.
Yeah.
But it also stayed in the theater because I heard people still seeing it in the theater while it hit digital. So
I went to see it twice. I saw it on IMAX the first time, and then on that, I don't know if you guys have them down here. We have they call it a 4D theater. So you got the screen on the front, and you got two screens on the side.
There's only one or two in the States,
so
but yeah,
that was pretty cool. You felt like you were in the co-pilot seat with it. So, but yeah.
So I do think that. Yeah. So I think that has effect on movies now reaching like massive box office success.
It does,
but with Mandalorian and Grogu, I think I'm on the side that it will be successful. Mm-hmm. I think Star Wars true Star Wars fans like myself, maybe you and you too, obviously, I think we're dying for a film in the theaters. Yeah. Like I've been wanting a film in the theaters for so long. So I think just that is going to put a lot of seats, fill a lot of seats, sell a lot of tickets. Mm-hmm. And you're right. I think the combination of the characters and the fact that I believe, I think I'm right about this because I don't think I've officially saw it, but I think Favreau is actually directing this thing.
Yeah. I've heard the same things.
Filoni wrote it.
Yeah.
I think Filoni and Favreau wrote it, but Filoni...
Well, would they let anybody else touch their
maybe
characters?
Is Filoni directing it? Maybe Filoni's directing this thing.
Yeah, I don't know. But those two guys are heavily involved because...
They're both making it.
Why would they let anybody else mess with their creation, basically?
Yes. No.
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up real fast. Mandalorian and Grogu. So you got two filmmakers that obviously created. You got two people that created the Mandalorian and Grogu, and they're obviously doing the movie. Filoni is the chief creative officer now, so that he's got still the George Lucas mentality, right? So
yeah,
I think this movie's going to have a lot more heart in it than I feel like some of these previous Star Wars movies had. It's going to still continue a little bit more of the family aspect, truly, with Grogu,
father and adoptive son totally. Kind of thing.
Yeah. So it says director Jon Favreau.
There you go.
So
yeah. And he knows what he's doing with those characters.
Man, he's a hell of a director.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, he's rarely directed any of the show, right? Because you've seen the list of directors like Deborah Chow,
Bryce Dallas Howard, Famqua. I can't never pronounce his name properly.
Oh yeah, Rick yeah.
See,
everyone knows what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And others, Taika.
Yep.
You've had these great directors based on the writing from Filoni and Favreau, but Favreau directing this one, I think it's going to be a hit. Now,
yeah,
will that equal success in the following movies. I actually think it will.
Okay.
I think, and honestly, the main reason is because the movies that we've talked about, those 6 that I just mentioned, none of them are sequels to each other or connected, right? We're not getting episodes 10, 11, and 12.
It's not a trilogy. Yeah,
correct.
Right. Yeah.
We're getting individual movies that could become, I mean, you even read that thing that the Rey movie could become a series of movies, possibly, if it's successful.
Yeah, it's another rumor, yeah.
But I think it's all depending on how well those movies do. Now, there's a flip side of that too, right? If you don't plan for a trilogy, then you tend to kind of, which I kind of believe they did with 7, 8, 9, you kind of scramble to write the one based on the one before, and you're not necessarily going anywhere that you had previously planned, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I think the fact that those are individual stories, they're taking place in different timelines, not timelines, but different eras, right? Especially the first 3. You got New Jedi Order, it's just going to be way in the future. You got Dawn of Jedi, which way in the past.
The beginning, yeah. You're in 3 different, very far apart time.
Correct. So they're not connected. So I think people will embrace that. I think they'll just look to enjoy the story that they're taking on now, and not being, you don't have any expectations like people did going into The Last Jedi. They had this expectation after episode 7 where they saw where this movie was going to go, and it didn't go the way that they thought.
I know.
I mean, that's true with any sequel, but in Star Wars, when you label something, if they announce 10, 11, and 12, it's like, going into 10, if it's when it ends, something's coming, and
it should be picked up in 11. It should be continued. Yeah.
Right. So, so I think it will be. I think it will, because of that. I think it will kick off some success on the movie side.
One thought that came to me just on the success side of things, like, I wonder if they're not worried about box office as much anymore, because if they turn around and release it to digital and streaming, and they still want you to buy it for that $20-$25, like, are they including that in their success about it makes $700 million in the theaters, but we also sold $500 million worth of the first digital release? Do they combine that and go, now we've had a success? That's $1 billion we made because of we forced people to buy it as well. Yeah,
I think they do. I think they do. I think they do count that. I mean, they're always going to look at whether or not they made money in the box office. That's no matter how much money they make later.
Yeah,
it still looks bad on the balance sheet of the box office. So if Mando doesn't make money in the box office, but then kills it later, I think there's still decisions that are going to be made that just wasn't successful, and we shouldn't continue it, kind of thing. Right. So, but that's just the beauty. That's just the rise and fall of movie making, really.
It is.
It's all driven by the box office.
Yeah, it's very true. So thinking about, because you're talking about this being a standalone movie, along with the other new ones, they're all going to be standalone movies. So we're looking at the TV series, Mando, Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka. They're all supposed to be somewhat connected. We've all read, and we talked about it on both of our shows, about them working towards a common story, whether it's Thrawn or not. It seems like they're supposed to be going towards something that they're going to be connected in, and maybe all eventually be in something together. So Mandalorian and Grogu, the movie, is it going to play on any of that, or is it going to be just about the two of them continuing their journey? Maybe we figure out where Grogu's from, get some answers to Yoda species, like, because it doesn't seem like there's any other movies coming out around it, because they're not saying this is the first of a trilogy for Mando and Grogu. So is it going to be a standalone story, or is it going to kick off this somewhat connected universe? Because we talked about the connected universe we thought Filoni's trying to build.
Yeah, that's a tough one, because I think if there's nothing that comes out before then, which as of right now it doesn't look like it, besides Skeleton Crew. Now I just don't see how Skeleton Crew is going to tie to these series at all. Now Skeleton Crew might be one of those ones, to be honest, it could be a standalone series, even though it's in around the same time.
Yeah, it's just a story that happened.
It's just a story that happened around that time because someone else created that show, right? Favreau and Filoni pitched, accepted it and took it and are executive producing it, but they're not the ones spearheading this thing like they are Ahsoka and Mando and like they did with Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
I think, which kind of sucks too. A side note, like it sounds like Boba Fett's not coming back ever. Like Tamar Morrison was told that they're not doing any more Boba Fett. So it's like, so that kind of came and gone because I guess it wasn't that successful to them. I have a feeling Skeleton Crew is going to do that. I don't see it being as successful right now, but
it's a weird one to follow the apparent failure of Acolyte to now release a Goonies in space type show.
Right.
That's a kind of a weird one to be following up, but they also expected Acolyte to be huge.
Right.
So
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
So right now you're really focused on Mandalorian. You're really banking on Mando, Ahsoka, and Thrawn as your kind of, and then of course bringing back Ezra and having hair. So it's like you're continuing the Rebels.
The Rebels is coming to life.
The Rebels is coming to life.
That's a potential massive success.
Massive, it could be. So
yeah.
So what you're saying is could that be tied in there or be standalone? I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you have to. I think you have to connect them somewhat because we've already seen a little bit of a connection with Mando when you had Moff Gideon at that last season talking to that council that talked about Thrawn.
Mm-hmm.
You've already established that there's a villain of Thrawn that's going to cause some problems.
Yeah.
And those guys that were, waiting for the return of Thrawn, well, he's back. And somehow I think Grogu is going to, or Mando and Grogu are going to be, taking out of their solitude on Navarra.
Their farm, yeah.
Yeah, and thrown into this conflict. And I think,
yeah,
the way the timelines, as far as the movie timeline is not necessarily a Star Wars timeline, but the way when it's coming out, it almost seems like, it almost seems like the reverse of what we were told when we were kind of told that the movie may be the culmination of these shows.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
But now it seems like it might be the reverse. It might be that this show is going to kick off the final seasons of these other shows because it seems like it's going to come first. It seems like the show is going to come out.
Yeah.
And then at least a season 2 of Ahsoka, maybe a season 4 of Mando, or maybe there's another movie that culminates it, that's possible that you have a movie kick it off. Then maybe you have another season of Ahsoka and maybe another season of something else and then a culmination movie.
Yeah, because you're also bringing up the thoughts like now that Mando and Grogu are jumping to the big screen, it hasn't happened very often in history that a TV show jumps to the big screen and then it comes back and does more seasons. Like it's almost like jumping to the big screen is the end of the TV series.
That's true. That's probably true.
So Mando and Grogu are jumping the big screen. They kick off the story. Ahsoka and whatever else continues the story, and then they make their way to the big screen to meet Mando and Grogu and continue.
But you're also putting a lot of pressure on fans to follow both.
You are,
because there's a lot of people like my wife that'll probably just go to the movie and watch the movie, and may not continue in the TV series.
Yeah,
and you're going to lose a lot of explanation in that stuff. So I don't know. That's tough. And the fact, if you think about it, Mando and Grogu movie, Ahsoka season 2, and then if they do another movie or so, what are we talking about? We're talking like 7-8 years.
I know we're gonna be old
based on this time that they've been doing this now. It's not like these things are coming out every year.
No, if 3 years between each thing,
right? That's tough. That's tough to follow. That is tough to follow, and not just for us too, but I feel for Filoni and Favreau. It's like you're spending a decade trying to finish a story,
exactly.
Instead of like trying other things.
Gosh, yeah.
So I don't know. I get again, I get what Bob Iger's saying about quality. I think everybody would agree that quality is important, but you can't suffer, you can't risk your fan base by putting out quality stuff every 3 years. Like, you have to get stuff out quicker, because I mean, think about it. The attention span of social media, people are so into just fast access.
Yep.
I mean, waiting 3 years between movies, that's just not feasible anymore.
That was the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah. When you had no other thing that you couldn't fill your time with anything else.
No.
Right?
No. So it's such a fine line to walk along, because those of us that have been around since the 70s, 80s, we know that that's the way it used to be. And we kind of transitioned into the way things are now. You got movies, you got TV shows. They have to find the balance. They have to find, okay, while this movie is being produced and released, let's get another team already working on the next season of TV.
I know.
Right. You should have teams out there working on everything. And
that's the way you should do it. Now, again, you may be risking money here and there, because it seems like you're waiting. Seems like you're waiting for the reaction of something.
Is this going to be successful or
not? And instead of focusing on and trusting the people making it or making something quality. Maybe they put too much trust in first-time Star Wars people like Leslie Headland or Robert Rodriguez, who did Boba Fett. But again, they weren't terrible people. There were a lot of people that appreciated those shows.
Yeah,
just not everybody, and you can't please everybody. But
especially since The Last of the Jedi, that taught us that you can't please everybody. That was the breaking point where fans became divided, and they've been divided on everything since.
Yes. Yeah. But also and I know a lot of people know this, but the critics are always the loudest voices. They're not always the majority of the voices.
Yeah.
So, you got to be able to, at least what I would do if I was Lucasfilm, I would have I would have a team of people that aren't looking at the negative comments, but looking at the positive comments and seeing how many people out there actually do appreciate these things. Now, again, it does all come down to money. The box office, how much money are you making? Subscribers, how many subscribers are we losing or gaining? And then how many views is this thing getting?
Yep.
So I get it. It comes down to that, but that's not how you solely judge the success of a project. It's how long does it last, and how many people engage with it and talk positively about it and spread it. Because I mean, it's just that again, loud negative opinions are the loudest. And unfortunately, a lot of people do listen to that, but
I mean, what gets most exposure in the news? Negative news, right? It's just the way it is. Humans by nature seem to be more attracted to the dark side, to put a Star Wars spin on it, right?
Yeah.
It just is that way. But you're right. They do need to not just look at the critics. They need to look beyond and see what the fan base is saying, and see what the fan base is hoping, because that's ultimately who you're making this stuff for, not the critics. You're not making for the critics.
Right.
I think critics are paid to be negative a lot of times, because there's a few critics out there that I know that have nothing good to say about anything ever.
Right.
That same critic that hated Star Wars also hated Top Gun Maverick, and it's one of the greatest action movies of all time. Well, how could you? It's frustrating. It's frustrating that they have the loudest voices.
Agreed.
And are listened to by too many people. But
yep.
I mean, listen to us. That's all you need to worry about. Listen to these two guys.
Yes, totally. Yeah. I mean, we're not positive on everything. Trust me.
No, but we're honest. We say we didn't like this, but there was also this other stuff that came from that, or that leads to, or whatever.
Oh yeah. Everybody can have opinions. It's just negatively destroying something or or taking it personally on creators is not the right way to do it. You know,
Never is. You don't have to like everything, but if you don't like it, fine, don't like it.
That's
Just
right.
Leave it alone. Then let other people enjoy it.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. I think that was good.
I got one more funny question for you.
Funny question.
Do you think The Mandalorian and Grogu is a good title name for the movie?
Well, I only think it's good because that is the consistent name process that looks like they've been doing. The title of a characters, right? Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka,
Mandalorian.
Andor, Mandalorian.
Okay, that makes
Acolyte.
sense. Yeah, okay, that makes some sense.
Mandalorian.
But
It's the only reason, but I would think going to the movies, you would name it something else.
yeah.
But you want to be familiar, right?
You're drawing on their popularity as well.
right.
So it's just, I mean, yes, Grogu is the most adorable thing they've ever created, but Grogu is still a strange name.
Yeah.
And to have that on big title posters, Grogu, it's like, what
Personally,
is that?
Personally, I would have named it the Clan of Two.
See?
That's
Yeah.
what I would have named it that.
That has such a catchy sound to it. And if you're a fan of that show at all, you immediately understand.
Absolutely.
And whatever, slap their faces on the poster. The Clan of Two. Hey, I know those
No,
guys.
of course, yeah.
Gosh.
And the two,
That's perfect.
And the two, you could do the Mandalorian symbol like as the O or something like that. You know, spell out TWO.
Yep.
I mean,
Or you could do a play on the mud horn. That's the symbol.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
You can make that look like a two. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, I personally, I don't necessarily like the title, but I understand the title. I understand because of based
the way
on
you explain it makes sense. But
Book of Boba Fett, and I mean, it's like they named every show
after the character,
the Bad Batch. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
I think isn't there? Maybe there's one Skeleton Crew, kinda.
It's about the crew of kids.
It is.
Yeah.
It's not. There's no single name, right? So it's about the crew.
Well, it's like Bad Batch. It's
Yeah.
what a group of people. So
Yeah, that's. I don't think there's been a show yet that has. I mean, the Acolyte wasn't direct specific, but it was specific to one of the characters. So anyway,
yeah, that's pretty smart. But like you said, the transition to the movie. So, but yeah, it makes sense. The world knows Grogu and Mando. So name the movie that.
know.
They'll flock to the theaters.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was just when I first heard, I thought it was like a temporary name.
Yeah.
Until they figured
I
something
thought they
out.
were
But
yeah, exactly.
doesn't look like it.
I mean, there could be.
It could still change.
Could there be a subtitle like Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back? Could be Mandalorian and Grogu: The Search for Thrawn, or whatever.
Could be.
Like,
It could be. Yeah,
know?
there definitely could be. I wouldn't be surprised if they changed the name. To be honest, I think they just wanted to put it out there for now to tell you what it's about. You know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I would do. But they don't listen to me yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us on Couch Sessions. Thanks for being here, Martin.
It's been fun, man.
Yeah.
This whole weekend's been fun.
He's heading back home tomorrow.
Yeah.
But appreciate him being here and, of course, helping me out with the council sessions. Go to youtube.com/Inside the Force to see more of our council sessions as well as all of our Inside the Force shows. And then be sure to check out the Mandalore podcast.
Yep.
We're coming back in December for the Skeleton Crew to talk and break that down each week. Looking forward to that, too. So,
Yep.
All right. Well, who knows when we'll be back together again, but we'll definitely be online together at some point.
Yeah.
So
We'll get you up to Calgary eventually.
yeah. I got my turn next time. I gotta head up. I gotta head to Canada. I gotta get my passport renewed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But anyway,
All right.
all right. Thanks everybody. Take care. May the Force be with you.